Okay, so this might be a hot take today, but after 5 natural births, I want to share my honest and candid thoughts about pain free birth. There is really a whole movement today of women pushing the idea that if we believe enough or have enough faith, we can have a pain free birth. And what I want to talk about today is what if there is a purpose in the pain of birth, and what if that pain it could be just different than we imagine? So today I'm going to unpack a little bit more about the birth free movement and share with you what I've seen to be even more powerful than trying to manifest a pain free birth. So, if you're new here, my name is Lana. I'm a mom of 5. I help new moms who are living in a state of overwhelm and sleep deprivation transform into the capable, faithful, and peaceful mothers they have always longed to become. If that's you, I would love for you to hit subscribe. And before we dive in, I wanted to let you know that I do have a free birth workshop that helps women transform their whole birthing experience. After 5 natural births, there are so many things I wish I knew that I just packed into this little free workshop for you. I think there's some real game changers you're going to want to know, so the link is down below for that. I first heard about the pain-free birth movement when a friend gifted me a Christian book about supernatural birth. I was pregnant with my second baby, and after a long and just quite frankly fearful first birth, I was ready for any help I could get. So in this book, I read about a woman who spoke a narrative over herself and her future birth that she would have zero pain in her birth, and then she did. She had a supernatural birth, she had no pain. And while I'm all about the Philippians 4:13 filter, I think that's the right verse. But it's, think about things that are pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, and praiseworthy. I so believe, though, that's what the Lord wants us to think about. I don't quite line up with being able to manifest a pain-free birth. So let's talk a little bit more about that. When I read the Supernatural Birth book, some of it seemed to line up with the birth education that I had received before my first birth, which I took a hypnobirthing. I birthed my first baby out in LA at a birth center. The rest of my births have been home births, but that first time I took like a standard hypnobirthing class. It wasn't a Christian hypnobirthing, just hypnobirthing. And what I took away from that class was that I could visualize my body staying calm, and that if I did, pain would leave my body. And it was really weird. Like, one of the exercises in the class was I imagined that a glove was going over my body and removing pain. Like, just some of it was really trippy, but I didn't even know. I didn't know what birth class to take. I had no idea. So I want to pause really quick. Tell me down below what you thought after taking your first birth class. Was it helpful in your birth? Like, have you taken hypnobirthing? What was your experience? Would love to hear your thoughts down below. Okay, so once my labor began with my first, I was trying to do all that I had learned. So I was trying to stay as calm and as quiet as I could. I actually still think that's really great. I think it's good to stay as calm, keeping the face neutral. That's something I say a lot. But I did not feel prepared for what I encountered in my first birth. I mean, I was watching these births, and these women were making like no sounds. They didn't seem like they were struggling at all. And I just feel like nobody said, hey, birth might be uncomfortable. Birth might have moments of pain. Okay, so when I faced the moments of pain, I guess I thought that something was wrong and that I had been taught, like, okay, I guess I'm not staying calm enough, or I think that maybe I need to get in the warm water. So I like huddled in the birth tub, just thinking that the goal of birth was to stay as comfortable as possible. That's what I gleaned from my course. Now, whether that's what I was taught or whether I just received it that way, I'm not sure. So after that labor, I felt like a failure, like in so many different ways. I was in and out of labor for 2 days straight. I had a baby that was posterior. I didn't have a doula. I mean, my midwife was wonderful, but she was very hands off. And so I just felt like, okay, whatever strategies I was supposed to use, I just feel like I failed at them. And it didn't stop there. I mean, I was very intrigued with the pain-free birth movement. One, I have my master's in sports psychology. That is not to toot my own horn in any way, but just to say I've always been very curious about the mind and the brain and the interaction that the body has with the brain. That is a special fascination for me. And I've truly seen how the mind can make or break like a sports moment. Like, I used to be a college softball coach and I played softball at a high level. And so it's very important what we're thinking about, what we're telling ourselves. It matters. So I thought, could the same thing be true for birth? And then after my first 2 births, I read a book called Explain Pain that teaches that the brain decides 100% of the time whether we feel pain or not. It was actually a textbook from my husband's physical therapy school. I picked it up. My husband was like, you got to read this book. So good. And what I learned is that as a stimulus comes in, like, think about it like a message comes into the brain, then the brain makes the decision and the call Do I send out pain or not? Is it danger or not? And the other thing I learned in Explain Pain, which was so valuable to me, is that it taught me that pain can actually be an asset to us. People who have neurological conditions in which they can't feel pain, I mean, they usually don't live past 25 because it is so dangerous to not be able to feel pain. Explain Pain really made the case that if we reframe pain, maybe pain is a gift at times. And if we step on a nail and it's painful, we know to get the nail out of our foot before we lose our foot. I mean, we don't look at how there is a gift in pain and that if we can't feel it, it's a problem. So the pain-free birth movement, in my opinion, seems to have women chasing this like elusive outcome of a zero pain birth. But what if pain has a purpose? So let's talk about that. What are some purposes that we know pain could serve in birth? I think it helps women instinctively get in different laboring positions, which opens up the pelvis in a certain way and can make it easier for baby to descend. I think pain keeps mothers highly active in the birthing process, like 100% present and in the moment. And then these labor pains trigger the body to release a flood of endorphins, which are the body's natural pain relieving hormones. They're stronger than morphine. And the sounds that even she's making because of the discomfort can signal to the mom and even the birth workers where the mom is in the labor process. Labor pains increase. The mom and baby bonding, this is huge. There is some limited research out there in literature that shows that animals that can't feel their birth actually have a tougher time bonding with their baby. So we think that this could, release that the pain that this felt within the birthing process helps to release a flood of the love hormones, oxytocin, after and even during birth that actually helps a ton with bonding. So here's what I found to be pivotal for the birth reframing in the brain on how to perceive pain. It is a working pain, not a hurting pain. So anyone who's worked out hard or done sports can relate. You are pushing through a hard, burning yoga pose, and your brain is saying, stop, stop, this hurts. But you know that you're not actually hurt. You know that it's just burning. And then that's when your body is doing the best work. You might be on the last 2 miles of a half marathon and each step hurts a little bit, but you're not really damaging your legs. You'll be sore a couple of days, but you know that your body is just working. So these are working pains, not hurting pains. And our brain is receiving it as such. Our brain is not saying, oh my goodness, stop it. It's absolute danger. Your brain is saying, I can do this. I'm close to the finish line. I can stay in this pose a little longer, like it's doing good work. Like our brain is convinced it's a working pain, not a hurting pain. And if our brain decides 100% of the time whether it releases pain or not, it is so key to be convinced that birth is not a dangerous emergency. And I think it's the World Health Organization says that 95% of the world's births need little to no intervention. So we can say, okay, 5% of the time there is a genuine emergency with birth, and thank God we live in a place where we can get that help if we need it. But 95% of the time in the world, the body can do it, the baby can do it. It's not an emergency. So that tells us, okay, most of the pain that we're feeling is probably a working pain, not a hurting pain. Maybe not always, but probably. So 95% of the time, our body and our baby know what they're doing. And this is just not the narrative in our culture, which I think is why it's so hard to be convinced that labor is not an emergency. Our culture and many of the birth workers are saying, oh, like you're just a victim of the birthing process and of the fall, and you shouldn't have to feel any pain at all. In fact, let me remove all that pain. You don't need to, let me save you from it. So here comes the doctor as the hero of the day to save us from the pain and from this emergency of birth. And then we're put in this like victim slot where we're helpless in our birth. And the problem is that a lot of these interventions can cascade down into tons of really painful complications for both the mom and, sometimes the baby long after. Like we just don't realize, we think, I just want to be pain free in that moment. But what we don't realize is sometimes we have pain later. So tell me down below, have you seen this narrative pushed in our culture? What has been your experience with the way that people talk and think about birth around you? I'd love to hear from you. So I kind of think that the real challenge of birth is believing that what we're feeling is a working pain, not a hurting pain, and to partner with that working pain instead of chasing this 100% pain-free, comfortable birth. And that is what I really did my first 2 births is I thought that if I did things a certain way, I could be in this, like, serene comfort the whole birth. But no one who runs a half marathon trying to reach some new personal best is 100% serenely comfortable. They're doing hard work. And I have a dear friend, she loves to do CrossFit regularly. I so respect her. She takes care of herself, and she said to me after 3 natural births, she views birth as one of the hardest but most rewarding workouts you'll ever do because she's reframing it, right? It's a hard workout. It's strenuous, but it's not an emergency. And just seeing it that way can be so pivotal. And after learning all that I did and changing the way I viewed birth, I started to see labor pains differently, and I started to also learn how to incorporate my faith. Like, nobody had really woven that into the birth literature I was reading or the courses I was taking to really flex my faith and ask the Lord to help me. I mean, I did ask the Lord to help me in my first 2 births, but just really relying on Him in a new way. And I've gone on to have, and praise God, I have gone on to have 3 beautiful home births from, those 2 births that they were good, but I was really running from the pain in those births to the 3 births where I was like, okay, yes, there are moments of pain, but they never felt unbearable, mainly because I didn't see birth as an emergency. So I know that the Lord was gracious to me, and I know that's not all of your stories, and I want to tread so lightly because I think there can be a lot of trauma in birth, and I'm so sorry if you have experienced that. I really, really am. And I know it can be tricky to talk about birth. But what I wanna say is 95% of the time, birth can be natural and normal, and then there is a 5% that's wild, and that 5% can happen. I wanna be so clear about that, and if that has happened to you, like I said, I'm so sorry, and I'm really glad that we do have plan of action in our country that's not fail-proof but can help us with that 5%. So I wanna be so clear about that. The 5% can happen, and yet I just wanna say, like, do you think perhaps we're not thinking about birth rightly in our country? Perhaps that might be the first step, just all of us getting educated about what do we really believe about birth down to our core? Do we believe that 95% of the time we don't need to be saved from birth, and we don't need to manifest the pain away, that what we are feeling as we bring baby down and out is a working muscle pain, not a hurting pain? So I think my just like final thoughts are if you're pregnant and you want some extra help, like I said, I have a free birth class where I talk about how you can have a better birth experience, like things you can actually control. Because I'm not saying just let it be what it is. There are things we can do to legit prepare. I hope you'll go take that class because, like, educating yourself and equipping yourself in pregnancy is how you can wisely not leave birth just completely up to chance, but instead do what you can. Also, I want to know, do you resonate with something I said today? Does it jump out to you? Do you disagree with something? I definitely feel like I can be unoffendable in this area. Just, we all have our different views. How have you seen pain free differently? In my mind, it feels like the wrong goal to chase. I think the right goal to chase is to believe that birth is a working pain, not a hurting pain, that it is productive, the pain has a purpose, to run right through the middle of it. Know that if we are not trying to stay serenely comfortable the whole time, perhaps birth might even last less time. That's been my experience as well. And just as a reminder, just to sum it all up, I just want to tell you this whole channel is here to be a resource for you to help you transform into a more capable, peaceful mom you have dreamt of becoming. I talk about birth sometimes. I don't talk about birth all the time. So I hope you'll stay and hit subscribe. And I just want you to know I really am sending so much love your way for your mama journey. I know it's not an easy journey, but it is a really sweet one. And I'll see you again in the next video.
It's so unnecessary dwelling about the past, 'cause I know that God is good, He led me to where I'm at. Sometimes I feel like giving up, you're giving in, but everything happens for a reason. It won't always be blue skies ahead. Sometimes you might need a helping hand, just like iron sharpens iron, making me stronger, calling me higher. When we come together, just like iron sharpens iron, making us stronger, calling us higher. When we're helping each each other. We're growing together.